Imagine being born into one of the most legendary families in American history. A family whose name is whispered with respect, mystery, and tragedy. Imagine growing up knowing that the world recognizes your last name, long before it recognizes your face. And then imagine carrying a secret so heavy that not even the weight of that legacy can help you. That's where Tatiana Schlossberg, granddaughter of President John F. Kennedy, found herself. A woman who's spent most of her life outside the spotlight, suddenly stepped forward with a confession so raw, so heartbreaking that it stunned not only the Kennedy family, but the entire country. The moment her essay dropped, everything changed. No press conference, no dramatic media rollout, just one deeply personal piece of writing, released quietly but hitting with the force of a bomb. In it, Tatiana revealed the truth she had held close for more than a year. She is battling a rare, aggressive form of leukemia, and doctors have told her the kind of words no 35-year-old mother ever expects to hear. A prognosis, a time limit, an estimate of roughly 1 year, and the world felt that. You didn't need to know her personally. You didn't have to follow the Kennedy family. The honesty in her writing cut right through every barrier, straight into the chest of anyone who has ever feared losing time. But what makes her story so powerful is how it began. Her diagnosis didn't arrive with dramatic symptoms or a long illness. It started with something almost routine. In May 2024, Tatiana gave birth to her second child. A moment that should have been pure joy, soft blankets, sleepy smiles, the warm exhaustion of becoming a mother all over again. Then came a standard blood test, the kind every new mom gets. Only this one didn't look right. Her white blood cell count was sky high. Doctors looked again, then again, and suddenly the quiet hospital room took on a different atmosphere. One where nurses move a little faster, one where doctors speak a little softer. And from that moment forward, the life Tatiana knew began to shift. More tests followed, biopsies, scans, conversations no new parent should ever have to sit through. And eventually, the diagnosis came: acute myeloid leukemia. Not just the aggressive kind, but the kind paired with a rare mutation that makes survival extremely difficult. A mutation usually seen in much older patients. A mutation that limits treatment options and dampens long-term hope for most people. This would have been the moment to crumble. But Tatiana didn't crumble. She fought hard. The months that followed were a blur of chemotherapy, hospital corridors, whispered reassurances, and nights where sleep never really came. She endured treatments at home, treatments in the hospital, and even joined a cutting-edge CAR-T clinical trial. A last-chance effort usually reserved for those who have run out of traditional options. Every step was exhausting. Every step carried uncertainty, and every step was taken with the hope that she'd buy just a little more time with the people she loves. But while the medical story is intense, the emotional story is even heavier. Tatiana is a mother of 2 small children. Tiny hands, wide eyes, bedtime stories, toys left on the floor, the world of a young family. And when she writes about them, she doesn't do it dramatically. She writes the way a mother thinks, privately, protectively, with love that seeps through every sentence. She writes about holding them, reading to them, hearing their laughter, and wondering how many more times she'll get to hear it. She writes about wanting to be there for first days of school, and birthdays, and ordinary days that suddenly feel extraordinary. She also writes about her husband, George, the man who's been by her side through every hospital visit, every drip, every terrifying phone call, and about her parents, Caroline Kennedy and Edwin Schlossberg, who have locked arms around her in the way only a family can when everything else feels uncertain. But then comes the moment in her essay that nobody expected. Tatiana doesn't just talk about illness. She doesn't just talk about her children, or her fear, or her hope. She turns towards something bigger, something that touches politics, responsibility, and the power people in high positions hold over the lives of people like her. She writes, very directly, about the frustration she feels toward a relative whose public stance on medical research and public health has, in her view, contributed to a system that feels underfunded and unreliable. It was bold, it was emotional, and it shook people because the Kennedys are known for unity, for family strength, for presenting a united front even through some of the darkest moments in American history. And here was a granddaughter of JFK, a woman who rarely seeks attention, calling out decisions she believes have real consequences for people fighting diseases like hers. She didn't do it for drama. She didn't do it for headlines. She did it because when you've been told you may not have long, your filter disappears. You speak from the core. You speak from truth. And the world listened. Within hours, headlines spread everywhere. Journalists analyzed her essay. Commentators debated the political angle. But the public, The public reacted with something deeper: compassion, shock, messages of love and support. People who have fought leukemia or lost someone to it shared their stories online. Strangers came together in comment sections. United by empathy rather than argument, her brother Jack stepped forward too, posting his support for his sister, a reminder that at the end of the day, beyond politics, beyond legacy, beyond the spotlight, this is a family dealing with something unimaginably painful. But with all the attention came speculation. People online started connecting medical funding decisions to specific treatments Tatiana underwent. Some even tried to assign blame or claim political causation. But Tatiana's essay doesn't go there. She speaks from her perspective, from her frustration, from her lived experience. And it's important to separate her truth from the unverified spin that always bubbles up online. What remains undeniable is the heart of her message: research matters, funding matters, trust matters, and the lives of patients, real people with families, with future birthdays and future dreams, hang in the balance. And then, in the final moments of her essay, Tatiana turns philosophical. She writes about memory, about presence, about what it means to measure time by moments rather than years, about living inside the seconds you still have. Her words feel like someone standing on a shoreline, watching the tide come in, knowing it will someday cover everything they built, but still wanting to hold onto every grain of sand. That's what makes her story so powerful. Not the Kennedy name, not the political angle, not even the tragedy of her diagnosis, but the humanity, the courage, the decision to tell the truth even when that truth is devastating. And it leaves us with questions, real ones. What would you do if you were given 1 year? What moments would suddenly matter more? Who would you hold a little tighter? What unfinished conversations would you finally have? Tatiana's story isn't just meant to be heard, it's meant to be felt. It's meant to remind us that time, even when it's slipping away, is still the most precious thing we have. And maybe, just maybe, her bravery in telling her story will spark conversations about medical research, family, forgiveness, and what it really means to live a life that matters. If her words moved you, if her honesty hit you in the heart, share your thoughts below. Because sometimes, speaking about the fragile parts of life is the first step toward understanding it.